Susan Landgraf. I want to begin with a quote that I think is perhaps more pertinent than ever, and that is a quote by Ezra Pound. Poetry is news that stays news. And this year, perhaps we've needed its news more than any other time, in our lifetimes anyway. Thank you to all of you for being here today, and thank you also for those of you who are part of National Poetry Month. What a great month, a busy month it has been. We'll start with some thank yous, and there are many. And then we'll move on to the student winners and their recordings or readings. And we'll end with favorite poems from faculty and staff. So I just want to give you a very brief history of National Poetry Month at Highline College. 10 years ago, we applied for a grant from the Highline Foundation and were given that grant. It was a whopping total of $750. And from that, we grew. Susan Rich, David Johnson, who's no longer with the library, and I and several other faculty members put the first year's Highline National Poetry Month together. And we've come a long way since then. I believe that Susan, you and I are the only ones left from the original group, but we've added new people, and each year it's been a grand success. In fact, there are people we've had like Terrence Hayes, who said it was the best experience of any of the readings he had in this part of the country. So we can pat ourselves on the back. I want to spell out all of those who have supported us this year for National Poetry Month. It's a fairly long list. The Highline Foundation, and actually the foundation is paying all the award winners their contest checks. Highline Print Services, Highline Communications and Marketing Department, Highline Library, Highline Center for Leadership and Service, Highline Bookstore, Highline Humanities Division, and this year, the Academy of American Poets. The Academy of American Poets Laureate Grant sponsored Celeste Adame, a Muckleshoot poet, for a reading and workshop. Just to recap quickly the month's events, it seems like April just started, and suddenly here we are, almost at the end. The first was an Arcturus reading with Susan Rich and the editors of Arcturus, Highline's literary journal. The next was a workshop titled Poetry Around the World, which was held jointly by Jen Neth. And am I saying your name right, Jen?
I say it as Neite, and then there's also Niet. So there's a couple different ways that you can say it.
Neite. Let's go with the one you use. And Faye Hadley led the workshop. And then Celeste Adame and I did a joint reading and workshop about place. We had the privilege of having Jericho Brown, a Pulitzer Prize winner, do a reading and workshop. He was dynamic and wonderful. And we're ending for the first time as the last of our National Poetry Month with the celebration of the student contest winners. Normally we start that first, but because of the pandemic, we decided, let's do this last. So today we celebrate the winners of that National Poetry Month contest. We had, and I got to check my notes, but I think it was 260 poems, Deb, or 160. I wrote it down, but now that I look at it,
I'll have to look. I
think it's 130, but the most we've ever had.
I'll put it in chat.
And I want to say just a bit about how we chose the poems. We have each year gotten together, and a group of us from the committee, and gone through the poems. We've had them beforehand, and then gone through the poems. We each show up with those that we feel are the best of the best. And this past year, we spent 3 hours deciding which of the best we chose. So it's a group process. We all weigh in. I think this year there were 6 of us. And we all had our favorites, and then we all were able to look at what our criteria was and come to the decision that has the winners now for this year. I'd like to mention who those committee members are. They spent a lot of time, and without them, we wouldn't have found ourselves where we are. They include, and I'll go alphabetically, Prairie Brown, Zanetka Jawanski, Faye Hadley, Teresa Matsumoto Maxfield, Jamie McGillan, Deb Moore, Jen Nyett. Is that better?
It's close, yes.
Susan Rich, Katie Stratton, Monica Thorpe, Dave Weber, Lucas Wilder, and myself. And I want to say that Deb took over the contest portion, entering all the poems and keeping everything straight, which was a huge job. And so it was really a work of love. Now I'd like to begin by having our honorable mention winners read by alphabetical order by their last name. And so that means that, let's see, Emily, you're right there. And by the way, I appreciated so much your comments for the gala.
Thank you. I'm a little nervous with you guys all talking about it, but thank you. It was an honor to be able to contribute and help.
It was powerful. I got a sneak preview today on the board.
Thank you.
So Emily is an honorable mention for her poem, Painting Her New Reality. It's all yours, Emily.
Thank you, Susan. I was a little shocked that this was chosen because it was a very personal piece, and it was the first piece I had written in probably about 10 years. And I wrote it as more of a reminder to myself that healing is patient and people don't really see the layers behind the healing and potential. And it's called Painting Her New Reality. When you write of her, write her with kind eyes, hidden beneath their quizzical brows. Take note of the sparkle that transforms the worlds of perils and dark depths. Tell of how she gazes at the stars to catch a glimpse of Orion's belt as he performs his nightly jumping jacks. When you write of her, write her with an eraser, place it just within her grasp. Take note of the shadows and scars, smudging and transforming them to light. Tell of each color she embraces as she paints her new reality. When you write of her, write her with a heart, healing in a state of conscious hibernation. Take note of the timing she's chosen to emerge out of her shelter, steady and secure. Tell of her composure as she waits for the constellations to align. Thank you.
Well, you didn't seem nervous, and hearing it read by you is a wonderful treat. Thank you. Next is, and do correct me with my pronunciation if I'm off, and I'm still working at it, obviously, with Jen, but Janelle Holland is, there you are, Janelle.
Hello. Yes.
And her poem, Rain.
So this is a poem that I wrote in creative writing class last fall. And it was probably one of the ones that came pretty easily to me. I tended to latch onto those persona poems. So here it goes. Rain. I am spray and steam, contents of the clouds. I am shielded from touching you, wished away like a problem. I wonder what you think of me. Am I the one who crushes your dreams? The one you employ to politely decline? The one that ruins your hair? I am not a cat. I am not a dog. I am sparkling droplets, translucent and shimmering. I want to be summoned by a dance, to create symphonies of soft patter on rooftops, to be given credit for puddles and mud. I am not always right. Falling is all I know. It's okay to get wet. Thank you.
Thank you, Janelle. Our next reader is Alaya Leiter with Untitled Haiku.
I was looking through participants and I'm not sure if Alaya or Aliyah, I'm not sure how to pronounce their name, is here because sometimes people enter with different
Names?
names in Zoom. So we'll give a second here, and if not, then we can move on. And also
While
somebody,
we-
else,
oh,
somebody
sorry.
else could read the poem if they want to. In fact, do you want me to read it since I probably have it?
Yeah, I think
That
you're the
would
only
be
one who's probably
wonderful.
got them all open. Can you?
It has them all handy, right? And as I'm quickly opening them, hold on just a second.
Thank you.
Okay, Untitled Haiku. Okay, by Aliyah Leiter. Each waking moment, asking why I'm not enough, love slaps me silly. I love that poem.
The power of a haiku. Yes. Is Ishmael Muhammad here?
Are you going alphabetically? Because there was also Chelsea Lowry if you were going alphabetical.
Oh dear, what did I do with Chelsea?
I don't see Chelsea in the list. Chelsea, are you present? Let's have Ishmael. Doesn't look like Chelsea's here, Susan, so I think you can go on to Ismail.
Okay. All right. Ishmael Muhammad, my home country.
Yes, I'm here, sorry.
Oh, thank you.
And can you guys hear me all right? Is my mic?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I'm using my microphone, so I might be a little bit loud on the poem because I'm a little bit quiet. Okay, I'm gonna start now. My home country. I'm from Somalia. I'm from the Horn of Africa and the Gulf of Adams. I'm from a country partitioned into independent clans. I'm from gathering with my entire family in a small porch reminiscing about how life has changed. I'm from a small Hoy's good cooking. I'm from going to a local halal market to go buy mango juice. I'm from competing with my siblings to see who's my dad's favorite. I'm from the heavens of earth. I'm from a stories told during the Civil War. I'm from a country with broken wombs and crushed hearts. I'm from where people sell their personal items to make a living. I'm from eating rice with bananas, with eating anjera with sha. I'm from a goat meat and lamb served for lunch. I'm from a mother who tells me how beautiful our country is. I'm from where inshallah means no. I'm from the waters of Shabelle and the rivers of Juba. I'm from the collected rainwaters and the sun shining out the window. I'm from the instability of the government. I'm from Somalia. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And it was really, it's so wonderful to hear the poets read their poems. The next honorable mention is Melissa Shacher, and I'm probably butchering your name. Her poem is Call Me Lisa.
I don't see Melissa's name in the participants, and maybe after we finish the honorable mention people that are here, some of the members of the NPM committee could read Chelsea and Melissa's poems for them.
Yes.
Okay.
So next would be Rahima Walazad with her poem, Oh Traveler Pigeon. I probably should say their poem. or his poem.
Her is correct.
Oh, thank you.
Prairie, I know that Rahima is one of your students. If she's not here, would you like to read the poem? I could show it on the screen.
Sure, I'd be glad to.
Hold on just a sec. Let me put you on point. Can you see it?
Can you blow it up a little?
Mhm. Is that better?
Yeah, thank you. O Traveler Pigeon by Rahima Walazed. O Traveler Pigeon, if you could not fly for a single day and stay by my side, I wish I could travel along with you, but this is not possible. Life on earth is hard nowadays. Stay by my side. Cry for me a few. I am tired of the smog and gloom and fire. I know this fire touched your wings too. I know you feel me. Do not go away.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prairie, for reading the poem. We're going to move now to third place, Kiara Golden, her journal pages. And from the quiet, I'm guessing she's not here.
Do we want to have someone read it again? I can display it and someone can choose to read it for her.
Yes.
Anybody volunteer to be able to read this poem?
I will, but you've heard enough of me, so maybe someone else will be willing.
Did Jen have a hand up?
Yeah, I can read it if you want me to.
Sure, Jen, that'd be great.
Okay,
Thank you, Jen.
of course. Journal pages. This paper skin is covered with coffee stains and crumbled corners from when it was almost thrown in the bin, burnt through lines from nights too close to a candle, and whiteout scars from when words didn't match the writer's sin. Taped up where editors ripped and scribbled over with doodles of toddler boredom in the margins. This paper skin is tattooed with anecdotes of the leather-clad soldier and the hands he touches and the lands he's been.
Thank you for reading it, Jen. And first place, and Patty, I'm going to read your name.
Wait,
And you're going to,
you forgot
pardon?
second. I'm sorry, you forgot second place.
Oh,
Second
right.
place.
Oh, Ariana, that's you. And I've even got this right in front of me. Deb, you're keeping me honest. So second place, Ariana, is that the right pronunciation?
Ariana.
Ariana, with the emphasis on the two R's.
Mhm.
Janelle,
Chanel.
oh, I got that one right. And your poem, My Truth.
Yes. So this poem I wrote last year. It came from a place of anger after seeing so many Black people murdered on camera with no justice. So, I mean, and writing poetry has always been an outlet of mine. So I try to be somewhat productive. And that's where this comes in. So this is my truth. You've created a fire that's burning in me, and I'm trying to let it out. Wish I could just be, but you see, you got your knee in my neck and I'm struggling to breathe. But why me? I'm afraid I know the answer to that question. Handle me with care, not excessive aggression. Perhaps I should make a suggestion. Yet I'm trapped, stripped of my voice due to the constant oppression. Wait, let me tell it. I have a confession. Or maybe it's you with this weird obsession. When I scream Black Lives Matter, you seem to be offended. But all you were worried about was dominance when George's life ended. Take a look in the mirror. I'm not who you should be scared of. I fight for Black life. You protest for haircuts. Do you see that there's a major difference between us? Listen, man, they kill us with no mercy. Then act surprised when that sadness and pain turns into rage, and it hurts me to say. But for some of y'all, racism is still up for debate. How am I the one you fear when my hands are in the air and my brother lies on the ground, lifeless? Teach me, who do I call when the police kill? And how could I allow my oppressor to also be my savior? Thank you.
It's even more powerful with you reading it, Ariana. Thank you. And now, Patty, I can say Patty, and I know I get that right, but I'm gonna say your full name. Patharisa? Is that close or good? Patharisa Wells and her poem, her winning poem, Decasia.
Hi, thanks, Susan. If you guys will humor me, I'm going to read two poems. I'm going to read my winning poem and then a new poem after it. So this poem that won, Decasia, I first want to thank, I think he's here, yeah, Professor Josh Gidding for recommending that I enter the poetry contest. He had never read any of my poetry when he taught me for English 101. But recognized that I'm a good writer. And I said, I dabble in poetry too. So he suggested that I enter the contest, and I wouldn't have without his suggestion. I wrote this poem when I first started writing again about a year or two ago in a workshop that a friend of mine, Joyce Lee, who's a writer, held. And the workshop was full of these badass slam poets from Oakland who I was intimidated by. And Joyce gave us a prompt one day to write something, and I just stared at the blank page. I can't even remember what the prompt was about, but this poem is what came up. Decasia. There ain't nothing sweet smelling or pleasing to the palate here. This poem is all that is discarded, tossed aside, forgotten. There ain't no salvaging of its parts, no recycling it into another thought, another day. This poem is stanky, not the kind your nose might like to linger on. The funk of sex, dried milk on a mother's breast. No, it is rancid, a cankerous sore cracked open when you come to create, but ain't got shit to say. This poem is not far-reaching or verbose. You try to tell yourself it is compost, fertilizer for another truth, but no matter how far down you dig, all you find is rubbish. Thank you. So this next poem I wrote last week, and some of you may have heard it before. There are two reasons why I decided to read it today. One is yesterday I turned in a really bad poem to my professor, Susan Rich. Bad poems suck to write. There was a line in there, as Jericho Brown says, that I liked, but I kind of felt bad about it. And then I remembered that last week I wrote a great poem that I felt good about. So I just wanted to mention that. That happens all the time. The second reason I wanted to read it is, as Ariana has mentioned, what's going on in the world right now impacts a lot of us, and this poem was born out of that. It's important to speak about it, and for me, speaking comes through my writing. So this is In the Absence of Breath. On May 25th, 2020, George Floyd was detained by the police. Officer Derek Chauvin knelt on Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds while he was handcuffed and lying face down, despite Floyd's repeated pleas that he could not breathe. As you emerge, slippery, wet, and hollering from the darkness, shrieks punctuating my first taste of air, I have always been with you. was there in the cooing as you babbled along to your mother's lullabies, always been automatic, a perfunctory byproduct of being alive. The lips, the lungs, the nostrils, all of us working in perfect harmony to produce rhythm after rhythm. Yet I have always felt the pressure, the labor it took for both of us to survive in this world. The knee is slowly suffocating me, separating us. We've been together so long, we can't exist without each other. I always wondered when this moment would come. Imagine I'd let go of you in your 90s when we were both ready for the release. Failing to serve my intended purpose, as you lie face down on the pavement, I become a collective gasp, the outcry of a nation, when all I ever wanted to be was yours. Thank you.
I think it goes without saying that voices that speak up do something to change the world. And so for all of you who participated in the contest, those who did not win, but who put their voices out there, we heard them. And we just keep saying to everyone, keep putting the voices out there. Even with the sucky poems that maybe aren't sucky after all. If there's a good line in them, take it and run with it, like you know, Patty. And does anyone want to read? Let's see, who did we not?
We have Plush by Chelsea Lowry and Call Me Lissa by Melissa Shocker.
Yeah.
And Monica said she would read Plush, and then I can share Melissa's poem and someone can volunteer or I can read it. So
Thank you so much.
Read Plush by Chelsea for us now.
Plush, after Kim Adonisio. I want a collection of lipsticks, one in every shade, colors that wrap around my lips and decorate the words they speak. I want to be able to pick from sweet cherry reds, candy pinks, and nutty browns, so that I can coordinate the shades to my mood swings. I want people to stare at my mouth and dream about popsicle flavors, demands and promises outlined in flush watermelon kisses. And I want all of my lipsticks in a glossy finish, so that my lips will leave a mark on every surface they grace, so that when I kiss you, there'll be no mistaking my popular pout.
Thank you, Monica, for reading Chelsea's poem.
And I can share the other poem, the final one that the poet couldn't be with us today. Does anybody want to volunteer to read it, or should I read it? No volunteers? Okay. You guys are putting me on the spot. Okay, I'll do it. Let's see if I can manage it well. This is Melissa Shocker's poem, Call Me Lissa, after Billy Collins. I am short. I stand cowered beneath the dewy leaf. My hair swirls in colors of latte and cappuccino. Be sure to include the whipped cream. My skin should be white like chalk and my cheeks flush, exaggerated with garnets. Draw my eyes as four-leaf clovers, make me lucky. My eyelashes bending into soft crescent-like arrows. They must be filled black, should see stars in them. Paint my body in bees, bestow one upon my shoulder, cover its fuzzy body in dandelion dust. Sprout the stems of forget-me-nots across my chest and over my arms. Gift me wings of its petals, make them flutter in the sky's whispers. My toes must be damaged, show my bruised nails and bones. My years of dancing must be known. Place me in a white dress. Please include various stains, as I would never be able to keep it satin spotless. Don't forget my earrings. Each ear should have no less than 3. Gold and dangly, make them loud, heavy. I want to hear the cry my stretched earlobes chant.
Thank you for reading it, Deb. And now we'll move to favorite poems by faculty and staff. And I have these in alphabetical order as well. So Prairie, you would be the first to read your poem, Little Kitchen, by Mrs. Merlene Exhoff.
Thank you. So this is a poem, like, to give you a little bit of history, that I encountered for the first time when I was in graduate school. And I didn't have any money, and I was browsing a thrift shop. And in that thrift shop was a stack of these old cooking kitchen magazines. And I bought the whole stack. They were 50 cents a piece. It's still got the little Value Village price tag on it here. And I bought the whole stack of them because I was trying to learn how to cook. I didn't have any money. I couldn't afford to go out to eat. And I was learning how to cook. And so there's this whole stack of cooking magazines, and it cost me $3 to get them. And I opened the magazine and I'm browsing through it, and I came across this recipe for honey wheat bread. It sounded delicious. My mom used to make something similar, and I thought I'd give it a go. I'd never really made bread before. And so I'm up to my elbows in bread, and I'm kneading this dough. This is huge recipe that made multiple loaves. I didn't know that, though, from reading it. So I'm up to my elbows and I'm kneading this dough, and I'm looking at the cookbook, and I realized that on the other page, right next to the recipe that I was working on, was this poem. And I read the poem, and I was working on my master's thesis on it's a feminist new historicist look at housewife literature of the 1950s. And I was looking at this poem, and I was appalled the first time that I read it. I thought, this is the most sexist thing I have ever read in my life. This is absolutely awful. But then I read it again, and I started to hear the poet's voice and realize what she was saying about power and control and the value of women's art. And I realized that what she was saying in the poem was that she had this presence and power in her kitchen that she maybe didn't have in other parts of her life. But as she was cooking, that was her magical kingdom. And she also had a great sense of audience. She was cooking for herself, she was writing for herself, but she knew who her audience was. And as you listen to the last couple of lines of the poem, you'll realize who her intended audience was. So Merlene Exhoff's poem, Little Kitchen. Little kitchen, you're my throne, for 'tis here and here alone that my rule is held supreme, and I reign a royal queen. Here I come, and day by day toil the precious hours away, singing blithely while I make fleecy biscuits, pie and cake. Little kitchen, would you hear why this cooking art is dear? Then the secret I'll impart is the way to hubby's heart.
Thank you, Prairie.
And I make this recipe every Thanksgiving now, and so I read this poem once a year.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. I love that.
Great. I had trouble picking a favorite poem, and I thought of that one.
I love
I
it.
thought of how meaningful it's become over the years. So it's been 20 years since grad school, and I've read it once a year.
Well, it was great giving context for it and how you found it. I'm next on the list. I had chosen Truth Serum by Naomi Shihab Nye. Naomi Shihab Nye has been one of my favorite poets for many, many years. And we actually have been trying to get Naomi Shihab Nye to come to Highline for how many years has it been, Susan? 6?
At least 6. It could be more.
And so finally, next year, she is our star poet. Naomi's poems always take me someplace else. And she gives me an insight or a view of some idea that I hadn't had before. And she often does this with very specific landscape and situation, but she has a twist with it so that even with poems such as During a War and for Mohammed Zid of Gaza, age 15, even though they're poems sometimes about terrible loss and war, of course, I leave the page feeling better about the world because of what she said about it. And so Truth Serum was valid in 2005 when she wrote it, and it still is, maybe more so now. For me, her poems have staying power, and I never tire of rereading them. Truth Serum by Naomi Shihab Nye. We made it from the ground up corn in the old black pasture. Pinched a scent of night jasmine billowing off the fence, popped it right in. That frog song wanting nothing but echo, we used that. Stirred it widely, noticed the clouds while stirring, called upon our ancient great aunts and their long, slow eyes of summer, dropped in their names, added a mint leaf now and then to hearten the broth, added a note of cheer and worry. Orange butterfly between the claps of thunder, perfect. And once we had it, had smelled and tasted the fragrant syrup, placing the pan on a back burner for keeping, the sorrow lifted in small ways. We boiled down the lies in another pan till they disappeared. We washed that pan. And Jamie McGillan, Listen to the Mustn'ts, is up next.
I really like that poem, Susan. That was a good choice. And I can't wait to have her come to Highline. That's going to be amazing. All right, so my poem is by Shel Silverstein, and he writes a lot of children's poetry. Very, very good stuff. And the reason I chose it is because I am definitely a rule follower type of person. And I just always have been. It's just kind of my personality. But at the same time, I am a very creative person and I like to create art in lots of different ways. And it's hard as a creative person who likes to follow the rules because the best stuff comes when you are just doing something totally different, totally out of the ordinary, and nothing like the sample, you know. So anyway, I like this poem because it uses a lot of the words that children hear, and the words are in all caps when you see them on the page, like shouldn't, wouldn't, can't, don't, you mustn't. It's all the don't do this, don't do that things, but it changes it around. So anyway, here it is. It is called Listen to the Mustn'ts by Shel Silverstein. Listen to the mustn'ts, child. Listen to the don'ts. Listen to the shouldn'ts, the impossibles, the won'ts. Listen to the never haves, then listen close to me. Anything can happen, child. Anything can be. Thank you.
It's a good lesson for children. It's a good lesson for us too. Next, Monica Twerk with To the Right Books by Japanese poet. And is it Taiga, Monica?
I believe it's Taiga. And so I'm actually going to test out the video share. I recorded this, just before the session. So we're gonna see if I can share this successfully.
Because it's an unusual layout.
My name is Monica Tork. I'm one of the Highline College Reference Librarians, and I'd like to share one of my favorite poems with you in English and Japanese. This is one of my favorite poems because, to me, it reminds me of all of the really good bits of winter, sipping hot tea, enjoying a good book, and I hope that you enjoy it too. It was written by the Japanese poet Taiga, who was writing in the late 18th century and early 19th century. To the right, books. To the left, a teacup. In front of me, the hearth. Behind me, the pillar. There is no greater happiness than this. Migi ni humi, hidari ni chawan, mae ni ro, ushiro ni hashira, tanoshimi sore ni yogiru koto nashi. Thank you. Susan, I think you're muted.
Yeah, what a pleasure to hear it in both languages. It the Japanese version has a little more musicality to it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, one of those moments, a haiku moment. And I love your background.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the background is actually connected to the poem. So this is like a traditional Japanese fireplace. So you can kind of imagine that you are in a Japanese winter scene.
And we're going to do a totally different turnaround here, as we've kind of done all along, with Dave Weber's Welcome Back Baseball, Welcome Back by Dave Niehaus.
Hi, everybody. I hope there's a few baseball fans in the audience. And also, I just wanted to say this year has been really great with National Poetry Month. I'm new to poetry. I've spent a lifetime not noticing all this wonderfulness that's poetry, and I appreciate all of you and your efforts. I'm in the phase where I'm enjoying listening to poetry. I don't have any experience reading poetry in front of an audience, so if my voice quivers, it's because I'm a little nervous. I had the pleasure of meeting Dave Niehaus. My 7-year-old son won a contest that his grandmother entered him in, a sweepstakes. And we got to sit in the broadcast booth with Dave Niehaus and talk to him. And so he's been pretty special to me for many years. And I chose his poem, Welcome Back Baseball, Welcome Back. And the reason I chose it, I'm just gonna read my deal here. The lines were written and spoken by the late Dave Niehaus, Seattle Mariners baseball radio announcer and Baseball Hall of Fame inductee. I've been a lifelong fan of the team, and I admire the life and career of this special man. Hearing this spoken reminds me that when the calendar turns to March and April, it's time for the beginning of a new baseball season, a time for longer, warmer days and the promise of spring. So here goes. I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to show you a video with Dave Niehaus reciting it, so you can kind of put this into context. Someone once said, "You don't grip a baseball grips you. It fills our days and brightens our nights over the course of a season and the span of a lifetime. We share hope, drama, and joy. It brings us all closer together, 9 innings at a time. It's the game we live. It's the game we love. Welcome back, baseball. Welcome back." Okay, so now I'm gonna share my screen, and hopefully, let's see, can I get the Deb or Susan to allow screen sharing?
You should be able to do it. One participant can share at a time. It said.
Okay.
Yeah, Dave, try it again.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Bear with me.
Someone once said, you don't grip a baseball. A baseball grips you. It fills our days and brightens our nights. Over the course of a season and the span of a lifetime. We share hope, drama, and joy. It brings us all closer together, 9 innings at a time. It's the game we live. It's the game we love. Welcome back, baseball. Welcome back.
Okay,
Thank you, Dave, for sharing both your reading and the video, the clip.
thank you very much for the opportunity to share it.
And Dave is the person in the print shop who makes everything come to life in the way of anything that's put out there in the world in print or on a poster or on the signboards out there today where people pick up their gala box. Thank
Can
you, Dave.
Can I show a sneak peek of a broadside, or would that be letting the cat out of the bag?
No, please do. Since we can't, usually we hand them out to the students and you're having to mail them this year. So
This is the broadside design for 2021. It was designed by Maisie Kong, one of my print shop staff. And let me back up a little bit. So there we are.
And there their poem is on the page.
So every one of our student poetry contest winners will receive a broadside in the mail with their own poem on it. And we're also having them mounted on, you could tell that Dave's was kind of on a harder surface, on a foam backing. And then we will keep those. So the next time that we are allowed to have National Poetry Month in person, we will hang all of the poems in the library. We have a 4th floor gallery area, and we will hang all of the poems for the last couple of years to celebrate everybody again at that time, since we aren't able to have these in-person receptions like we normally would have.
And we have one last favorite poem. It's called Our Deepest Fear by Marianne Williamson. And Tanisha Williams, who couldn't be here today, at least I don't think you're here, Tanisha, are you? This is the poem that she chose. I read this piece a long time ago. And so it will be one of the poems on the broadside that's foam backed.
Susan, I do see
Susan, I think Tanisha's here.
Is she?
Oh, I see her name.
Where are you, Tanisha?
Tanisha, do you want to read your own poem?
Yeah.
Tanisha?
Where are you?
Sorry,
Yes,
sorry.
Tanisha.
If someone can read it for me, I'm actually in the airport.
Oh, that's a dedication. Susan Landgraf, can you read it for her?
I certainly will. Can you listen, Tanisha?
Yes, I can hear you.
And I'm sorry you're not here to read it yourself. But since you weren't at the meeting this morning, I had sort of assumed you wouldn't be here. All right. Can you say why you chose it, Tanisha? No, she's muted. All right. Our Deepest Fear by Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And Nelson Mandela actually used this in his acceptance speech when he was sworn in South Africa. I hope I did the reading justice, Tanisha. So that concludes the regular planned portion. Do any of you have a favorite poem to share? Or do any of you have any questions or anything to say about having been on the committee or having your work chosen or reading today? Any comments at all? Or thoughts?
Susan, I have a poem a favorite poem that I'd like to read, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
And I sort of think when someone asks, what's your favorite poem? It's kind of like saying, who's your favorite rock star? Who's your favorite, ex-lover? You can't really answer that question very well. So I can only say that this is my favorite poem today. And I chose it because I've been reading the work of Jessica Gigot, and she is a Washington State poet. In addition to being a poet, and I think Dave's poem kind of inspired me, she is a farmer, she is a mother, she has a PhD in biology, and she is in a band. So I love the idea that she's kind of out there living her life, and that poetry is one of the many different ways she sees the world. And she has a new book out called Feeding Hour, which you can sort of see if I hold it really still. And it kind of, I just wrote a review of it on Amazon. And here's a tip. If you have a book of poems that you really like, even if you didn't buy it from Amazon, even if you don't like Amazon, it's a really good idea to do those reviews because it helps other people find out about the book. It will go up in the search engine if there are reviews. So I gave her a review today, and I'm not going to give you the review. I'm just going to read the poem. It's an ekphrastic poem, and my students have just finished writing an ekphrastic poem, which means taking your inspiration from a piece of art and then just using it as a jumping off point. Ekphrastic means to speak out. So it's as if a painting could speak, had a consciousness. And this poem is called Farmers at the Museum. Jessica lives in the Skagit Valley where the tulips are. And the painting is actually a mural by William Cumming. And it was a mural of farmers that had been left alone in a barn for a long time. And during the summer, I teach a workshop called Poets on the Coast. And we do it in the Skagit. Jess was part of it. And she went into the museum to look at this piece of art. And the poem will tell you the rest. Farmers at the Museum, inspired by William Cumming mural of Skagit County Agriculture, 1941. The mural was found in a barn. Now it hangs in a museum, painted on commission in 1941 by a soon-to-be famous 24-year-old. The mural depicts the trades of the time: logging, dairy farming, berry picking, railroad building. The slate sky is a thin margin over male bodies, bending, reaching, crouching. They work in silence, facing away from each other. Slender, tan cow hips take center, patiently being milked. I think about how these jobs have changed and how they have not. Just this morning, I was bending over to weed a row of parsley, but new railroads are being stopped. Berry pickers voted to unionize. At least one dairy farm has gone robotic. Still, the simplicity of this scene settles something in me. The cool, natural tones feel like home. As I leave the museum, I run into a farmer friend who has been farming a lot longer than me. We smile and realize that we are both here for the same reason. I don't recognize him at first. We are out of the field, out of context. He just finished delivering vegetables to a nearby restaurant. His hands are coarse. He smiles honestly. I could see him hunched in this mural. Instead, he is outside the painting, in real life, looking back in time. Thank you.
And Poets on the Coast will be virtual this year, right, Susan? So there's a website if you're interested. Does anyone want to share anything else? Well, I thank you all for being here again. I thank my time with the National Poetry Month Committee. It has been a wonderful experience again. And I think I'm as amazed as ever that so much happens because one little grant got us off and running. And so if anyone is interested in being on the committee next year, please speak up or get a hold of any of us. Most Highline people have their first initial and their last name at highline.edu. So it's pretty easy. And Susan, do you want to, I noticed you put up about the fact that Ellen Bass is coming too. Do you want to throw out a little something about next year?
Sure. Sometimes at this point, we have no idea who's coming next year, but since we had a little bit of a delay last year, we're very well prepared and all of our poets have confirmed. You heard from Susan about Naomi Shihab Nye. Ellen Bass is a poet who lives in Santa Cruz. She is a master teacher. She teaches online. She has, I think, about 4, maybe 5 books from Copper Canyon. Her most recent one is Indigo, and she's very funny, maybe not quite as funny as Jericho Brown, but they are the best of friends. So she'll be here next year. And Enzo Silon Surin is a poet, a Haitian American poet from Boston, Massachusetts, and his first book of poems just came out this year. So it's a really good variety. And hopefully, I think we're going to be meeting together in person next year. That's the plan.
Thank you. And Deb and Prairie, thanks for hosting and for all the background work. And thank you all again for coming.